Hello, ladies. Welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Today we have another conversation or what we call interview with a now we are bringing in a yoga teacher, but not to talk about specifically things about yoga, but we are touching on the benefits of how yoga can improve our gut health. So
Gut
it's
health.
the I in fears.
Okay, so the lady we're interviewing for today, her name is Susy. She was my neighbor, in fact, and I discovered her while just walking, and I was wondering why are these so many women coming into this house, and I see they're carrying yoga mats, and that's how I discovered that this lady had a yoga studio right across my house. So that was 3 years ago. So I developed a friendship with her. What was nice about Susie is that her classes are different. It's not the
The
same every
usual.
time. And I like it that when I first talked to her about coming into being a guest speaker here, she said of course. And she said of course because gut health is one of the issues that many people have these days, and not many realize that it's it's the beginning of an illness, and
Mm.
that she really has continued doing yoga. And she's got really good tips in this interview for beginners as well. What to expect of coming into a yoga class or what to do. All right. So we have Susie Hendra with us. Thank you very much for joining us, Susie, at Find Your Fears Global. And Susie here is my yoga teacher, and it was the first time I've ever tried a Jiva Mukti yoga class. And I really enjoyed it. We'd like to hear from Susie how she began with yoga. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, thanks, Bunny, for inviting me to this talk. And nice to meet you, Mia. I've been teaching for almost 5 years now, doing yoga. I'm close to 50 and I have 3 children, 21-year-old son and 16 and a half years old twins. I think I discovered yoga quite in the later stage of my life. I'm always a very active person. I did, if you guys remember, back then, Jane Fonda,
Yes.
dancing is always my passion. And after I got married, my husband works in a bank, so we travel a lot. So cut story short, back in 2007, at that time in London, when my husband posted, Zumba was just starting up. And actually, I was a Zumba instructor for 7 years.
Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting.
Yeah. I joined Zumba. And then I thought, hey, this is for the training, Zumba in London. And then I became an instructor. Well, along the way, I had so many injuries actually because of the intensive exercise that I did. So not only I do a lot of dancing, I did a lot of CrossFit, boxing, and stuff like that. But I think with not enough stretching and I end up having so many injuries. I torn all of my knee ligaments and stuff like that. Yes, a lot. Jiva Mukti, it's not a type of yoga. Actually, it's a brand. I'm a founder, both of them, husband and wife, from New York. They went to India to study yoga. 30 years down the road, when they came back, and then after that, back in the 80s, they opened up the first Jiva Mukti studio in New York, and that's become our first school of Jiva Mukti. What is Jiva Mukti? It's a combination of Ashtanga, Hatha. So this is the American, yeah. They package, they take a bits of everything from the type of yoga in India, and then they put it into one package.
So, Susie, I'm going to ask the next question. What was your ultimate goal when you started Jiva Mukti Yoga, and are you meeting them now?
The main goal for me to go for the teacher's training actually is for my personal benefit. Because again, with the injuries that I have so many in my body, and I cannot find a very good, along the way, because I've been exercising throughout my whole life. To me, it's very, I know it sounds really bad, but it's really hard for me to trust someone. I took up some personal training session just to be able to know my body well and then how to work on my body. The main reason why I decided to go for the yoga teachers training all the way in New York for 6 weeks, just because, you know, I want to know how to work on my body. I want to know how to work on my injury. And yes, Bunny, it really helps me, you know. Now I know how to push and pull rather than before, you know, I was just keep pushing and pushing and pushing to the limit, not knowing where to stop. So
When
yeah.
you hold a class, is it really, do you segregate your for beginners, for advanced, and how do you manage, you know, when you accept students in your class?
Okay, Mia. Well, Jiva Mukti yoga can be very rigorous. So what I'm trying to do, I'm very particular with alignments, and like I said, you know, I'm not young. So even though if I have a new students and that they're very young, and then sometimes they are very eager.
Go. Yeah, very eager.
Aggressive.
Yeah, for them, it's the main incentive to do yoga is to be able to do headstand and then post it on the Instagram. You know, rather than it's always the headstand. Always, you know, they come to me, 2 questions: can they lose weight, or when they can do the headstand. So what I'm trying to do, Mia, I try to ask the people who never do yoga at all to do a couple of sessions, private sessions with me. And then I really want to correct their alignment just to make sure that if they come to my big class, they know what they're doing with themselves rather than, you know, just following my instruction and then they end up having an injury.
And what I like about also in Susie's classes, she says she gives alternatives. If you can't do this, this is what, just go this far. Or if you can't do this, this is how far you can go. Yeah, very good modifications.
So Susie, the reason actually we the main point of this whole inviting you in was we wanted to really ask, as you know, find your fears. The I in fears is about our insides, our gut. Okay, so we, Bunny and I, wanted to know the connection between yoga and the gut. Is there such a connection through breathing maybe? How is yoga, how can yoga benefit the gut, or how can the gut benefit from yoga?
From my understanding, I think yoga helps the gut health a lot, in a way that if you've done yoga before, quite a number of the poses, the asanas, is involved twisting. And we as a yoga teacher, we believe that when you do a lot of twists, it's massaging your internal organs, and then at the same time, it will help you to ease up a lot of problems in your gut, like constipation or IBS and stuff like that.
Susie, for that about the gut health. So ladies, we're going to be putting out there links or some article out there that you can look at, and the facts that Susie shared with us regarding gut health and the relationship with yoga and how it does help. One particular question just for Susie here. In your practice of Jiva Mukti in relation to gut health, how do you see, do women actually still complain about their gut health, or maybe because it's the food they eat in your class?
Some of them still come to me and say that why they're still not losing weight, probably. Most of the questions like that, yeah. And why they are bloated, but sometimes they say probably it's because, you know, their periods are coming. But I keep telling my students, you know, every time again and again that no matter how much exercise that you do, no matter how much yoga that you do, it's only takes up 30% of the whole 100% pie. 70% of whatever happened in your body, it's from what you consume. Because if they come to me and complain why they're not losing weight and why they're still having problem, I said, watch your mouth.
That's a nice way of putting it. women out there, you know that exercise is not the answer to your weight. As they say, you cannot outrun a bad diet. Yeah. So one last question. For yoga to be effective, how many times do you think they need to come do the classes? How the consistency? How many times does a yoga class work for you to reach that
The
state?
benefits.
I do believe, Mia, it's not only in yoga. All type of exercise, if you're doing it once a week, it's not gonna help. To
Yes.
me, it's like you're doing it today and then you come back to me a week after. It's like you're going back to square one. 2 or 3 times for beginners, because I cannot enforce them to do it more. Twice a week, 3 times a week is ideal. But I believe that, as even for me as a yoga teacher, I have to practice every day, because every day my body is different. Today I feel good. I can do a lot of my back bends, and then some days I feel very stiff. I cannot do a lot of stuff. So once you become once you fall in love with yoga, I mean, like, when you see the benefit from doing yoga, you really want to do it every day. But as a beginners, 2 or 3 times a week, I think it's ideal.
Okay. Do you recommend, Susie, that like for me, for example, I do a lot of tennis. Is it a good cross training for sports or whatever you do?
My husband is a tennis fanatic. One day, 10 years, no, it's more than that. I think 13 years, 12 years ago, he woke up when we were still in London. He had a slip disc. So one day, out of the blue, I think it's been accumulating, but he keep, denying himself not to get some stretch. He woke up and then he had a slip disc. He couldn't wake up from the bed. He couldn't walk. And then my husband's very tall and very skinny. So we went to the doctor. The doctor said there's no way that they can operate him, because, the intensity of the slip disc, it was very, when they found out, it's a little bit too late, because the compression is all the way. I mean, like, and then because he's very tall and super skinny as well, no fat in his body is not helping. So the only way for him to do it is through physiotherapy and yoga. Mia, I can guarantee you, he still doesn't like yoga, but he does it 3 times a week so he can play tennis.
It's a motivation. I would
That's
too.
his motivation. One last thing, Susie. What do you recommend? I know you said for beginners 2 to 3, but is there a particular yoga? If somebody maybe like Mia, she doesn't really know which kind of yoga she should go to. Is there something that you recommend for totally beginners?
Or is stretching good enough?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best one, okay, they have, to me personally, I recommend Hatha yoga, because Hatha it's the basic of all yogas. Hatha, I think Hatha is the oldest type of yoga, and it can goes from very simple for total beginners, and then it can go all the way to Hatha 4 or Hatha 5.
One last, does Hatha yoga also, can you benefit from the good gut already with Hatha yoga? It doesn't have to be any other yoga.
Yeah, I think all type of yoga you can benefit from, from the gut health. I think they always, in every type of yoga, they always incorporates the breathing sessions. To me, I think the breathing is really good, because you maximize the oxygen level in the body with the breathing. And I think with the poses, again, they do have the twisting, where you massaging your internal organs and stuff like that. I think all types of yoga will help the gut health. It's just, I think the level of intensity, like Ashtanga.
I wanted to ask, is there a guideline of doing yoga, when to eat, when not to eat? Because you're going to do a lot of twisting, breathing. Are you supposed to be fasted when you do
Inversions.
your yoga? Yeah.
Okay, to me personally, Mia, I like not to eat anything before I do my yoga session.
Like how many
Uh,
hours before?
2 or 3 hours before that. Yeah, usually I have in the morning. Okay, okay, Indian people, when they practice yoga, they do it early in the morning. So when the stomach is still empty, so when you do a lot of twisting, when you're massaging your internal organs, then you don't have that bloated, or sometimes you feel like you want to burp, and stuff like
Mm,
that. Yeah. uh, you're not going to encounter those kind of problems. But if you attend a regular yoga class, I always tell my students to have a banana, or if they want to have a cup of coffee, it's fine. But that's all. That's it. They cannot eat, like, a plate of fried rice.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely. I'd like to round off the of course, one of the key things, although it's not it's not related to the gut, but definitely related to our fears, women, is that one, in your story, Susie, even if after marriage, after kids,
Mm,
you decided to find out and do something for yourself, for self-development. And I think that's such a fierce thing to do.
mm.
Knowing that you have the responsibility for your husband, for your children, and living abroad in London, you took upon yourself the effort to have yourself develop better and become a better person, right,
Yeah.
by
Yeah, yeah.
taking on Zumba classes and all that. And another thing, it was very fierce of you also to say, hey, I'm shifting from Zumba class to Jiva Mukti, even
Yeah.
if I know yoga is so slow for me, right? I'm so used to fast movements and all that, but knowing that you needed to heal yourself, and you found that yoga was the way to do it. And I think that's an eye opener also for many of us ladies. Like, you have
Yeah.
to realize that there's something I need to heal in myself, and go
Yeah.
for it, right? And look for it. And I think, Susie, that was so inspiring to me, and
Yeah.
I wrote it down on my phone right now. So thank you very much
But
for sharing
Susie,
that.
yeah,
Thank
just
you. Yes,
what
yeah.
on your own words, what is fears to you? What can you define fears to your personal perspective?
The word fears. Things that come to the top of my head. Fears meaning that, being a woman, especially after you get married and then you have children, I feel that you have to be fierce to yourself to be able to take care of yourself, because I know that the whole household is gonna collapse if the moms got sick, right?
Yep.
So, and again, to me, from my background, I lost my mom when she was quite young, not because she was sick, but because she was born with a heart defect. And my mom, she's always very active throughout her whole life, even though she has heart problems. She was born with a heart problem, but she never stopped exercising throughout her whole life, until she passed away in a quite young of age. So she was my role model, thinking that, so for me, I keep telling, and then the same thing with my husband too. Both of us, we believe that the biggest wealth that we have in our life is our health. It's not money, it's just not, having a big house or fancy cars, yeah. As long as we are healthy, and then I'm able to see my kids until my old age, knock on the wood, keep praying to God. Yeah. So yeah, that's to me what is fierce, that I have to be strong, and then keep moving, and stay alive for my children.
Such a nice,
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and nice word, Susie. That's a very good message to all the women out there. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you.
very
Yes.
much, Susie. Thank you.